Ho ho boardies, welcome to Borderline Games. I'm Gareth and today we're playing more of the Chrono Jotter, a visual novel, which is really weird so far. We woke up as Ran Abuki, I think her name is. It seemed like she was in this closed room with a very low ceiling, maybe just even a big wooden box. And then she escaped from that. And then behind her there was no box and we were in the middle of a school. We kind of explored that for a little bit. And then we left the school and then went to where there was some dormitory situation, I think. And then we met somebody else. And that's basically what we got to. But the main takeaway is that there's some telltale signs that maybe Ranabuki is not a reliable narrator. And maybe what she's seeing... or what we're seeing through her eyes isn't quite the truth. And that's all we know so far. So let's jump right in and do some more. That's where we are. Alright. So are we going to head upstairs with Yuruno, or ask Yuruno for directions to the bus station and leave immediately? I guess we're going to head upstairs. Ran returned to the entrance of the building and took the opportunity to inspect every single inch of the shoe cabinet when she went to drop off her shoes. Sai, meanwhile, as the person we met at this dormitory place, simply climbed halfway up the stairs, took a leaning position against the guardrail and calmly waited for Ran to finish doing her thing. Ran counted the number of shoes. There were 7 pairs of shoes. Most of them were various kinds of student-appropriate shoes, but a pair of short boots stood alone at the very bottom of the cabinet. So there really are only 7. So is that saying that there's 7 people here? I think that we established that last time, just before we finished. Oi, are you still not done? Sai's yell startled Ran a little and she reflexively scrunched up her shoulders as she answered Sai. Sorry, I'll be right there. Ran ultimately closed the cabinet without putting her own shoes in. Rather, she left them at the main entrance, toes pointing outwards, and followed Sai upstairs to the second floor. The second floor hallway wasn't long. On the left was a balcony from which you could see the bottom floor. On the right, you could quickly walk to the end of the hall. At the end were 4 doors, none of which were marked by nameplates. Exactly the right amount of rooms for 7 people. If Yuruno was telling the truth about having a room to herself. As far as the layout of the first and second floors went, the building felt less like a student dormitory and more like an ordinary civilian residence. Sai pulled open the outermost door and gestured for Ran to head in first. Ran nodded and immediately began inspecting everything without so much as asking permission, while Sai got to work spreading a bedsheet out onto the lower bunk. The amenities in the dorm room were rather simple. Besides the rather simplistic posters on the wall, there was only standardized furniture, and little in the way of additional decoration. Ran wondered if this was because of the school's rules, or if it was just due to Sai's own personality. After that, she took a few more laps around the room before settling by the windows. The endless darkness outside the windows melded seamlessly into the night sky, as though a vast curtain veiled the whole dormitory. Alright, that's enough rummaging around for you. Time to get into the lower bunk and sleep. She bossy. Oh, okay. Thanks. After that, Sai didn't say much. She climbed to the top bunk and used a switch near the head of the bed to turn off the lights. Seeing the situation, Ran took her phone out and used it to light the path to her bed. She took off her socks and outerwear and laid down in the bed. Its warmth warded away the cold, letting her finally relax fully. The situation had developed quite well, much better than Ran had been imagining. She quietly looked forward to being able to leave this place tomorrow with the help of the other students and to set off once again on her journey to find Ann Sakura. I'm assuming that that's not going to go down well. Yeah, Ann Sakura is her girlfriend that is missing currently. I think she's started off this whole thing by trying to find her. She went, like, you know, police missing, like an actual missing person missing. Ran pulled up her blankets and tucked in. The winter blankets are so cozy. And I don't know why, but talking to Chrono was relaxing for some reason. Thanks to her, my situation's improved a lot. I should really thank her again. Chrono,
Shut it. Sleep.
Okay. Jesus, she's got a mouth on her, that one. Ran opened her eyes, tossing and turning on the bed. The unfamiliar environment and ceaseless mysteries continued to torment her mind. Even though the pain which emanated from both her brows and her brain reminded Ran that she'd reached truly dangerous levels of fatigue, she still couldn't get to sleep. Ran rolled over and turned her phone on, hoping to find some comfort in her photos of Ann Sakura. Now I feel even worse. Ran closed her eyes, and against her will, the memories of the time she'd spent together with Ann Sakura began forcibly replaying themselves before her eyes. The beautiful past made the painful present even more unbearable. Ran clenched her brows tightly, but it did nothing to stop this venom, sweet like honey, from spreading all over her. Hugging her shoulders, she trembled. Miss Sakura, where are you? Fatigue and drowsiness finally overcame nostalgic memory, and Ran gradually fell asleep, with dream-born tears flowing down her eyes. She's surely dreaming about Ann Sakura. You always hide here alone. What happened? Yes, Miss Sakura, I've always been alone until you found me. Let me wipe your tears. Tell me what happened. I'm sorry, Miss Sakura, I can only cry. I can't even speak clearly. I'm scared of pain, scared of being bullied. Don't worry, from now on I'll be with you. I know, Miss Sakura, but I still want to be the most important person to you. I'm glad you can say that. Really happy. I am too, Miss Sakura. Even if the venom cannot be avoided, has spread all over my body, we will never be separated. Wait. Your hands are clumsy. You hurt me. Miss Sakura's expression is different from usual. It must be something that only I can see. Now you and I have a special relationship, right? Oh, I've got to read that quick. Ran, from now on, we will never be apart. Of course, Miss Sakura. Miss Sakura? Miss Sakura! Where are you? Come back soon. And where are you? Miss Sakura! Miss Sakura, where are you? Without you, where are you? Come out quickly. I'm here, Anne. Don't leave me. I want to see you. Interesting.
Oi. Time to get up.
After being called awake, Ran opened her eyes forcefully. Turning her head in a stupor, she stared at Chrono, who'd already put her uniform on. Then she looked at the overhead bedboard. Only now were her memories of the previous night starting to reawaken. Ran sat up on the bed, her back bent from her mind still slightly muddled, trying to retain the voice of her love from the dream just a little longer. But soon it all dissipated, and all that was left before Ran's eyes were a stranger in a stranger's room. She looked towards her own jacket, remembering the corner she'd torn from the notebook yesterday. Then she shook her head. It wasn't yet time. After all, after Anne had disappeared, she'd already been forced to eat 18 whole pages out of the notebook to stifle the increasingly serious symptoms of her condition. That's another thing, so to treat her condition, whatever condition that is, she needs to eat pages from a notebook. I don't really understand. I'm not sure whether I'm supposed to at this point, but I don't get it yet. I mean, who would at this point?
Are you okay?
Ran shook her head and stared with side eyes at the changes to Sai's head that she couldn't ignore.
You looking at something?
Ran has updated the profile of... Oh, okay. She loves swimming and visits the swimming pool whenever she gets a chance. While submerged, she feels that she can almost hear her younger sister's voice. What have we updated here? Oh, is this new, is it? No. Ouroboros bracelet. Nice hair. Oh, maybe it's this. Nice music.
You looking at something?
Nothing. I just, cool hairstyle.
Somehow I get the impression you're not exactly complimenting me. Whatever. Just get up already.
Ran took a long, lazy stretch. She noticed that Sai was holding a small baggie of... something.
Uh-oh.
She shook it a few times and Ran's eyes tracked it as it swung back and forth like a pendulum.
You can stop staring now. That's the bag for my swimsuit. I'm planning on getting a swim in before the morning meetup.
Oh, okay.
It's not the kind of baggie I was imagining.
Swimming? There's a swimming pool here.
No shit. What do you think I'm going to do backstroke across the courtyard? Now hurry and get up and come to the wash stand with me. The person that's on duty for today should already have gotten up, so I'll have her keep an eye on you in my place from now on.
Sure. I noticed it last night when I entered Eurono's room as well. Despite how well furnished this place is, it doesn't have private bathrooms. I guess that means even the sinks where you brush your teeth are communal. Ran rolled out of the bed and put her socks on, picked up her jacket, and headed out of the room with Sai. Yawning, she pulled the jacket on as she walked. After she was done adjusting its collar, she got her phone out. The screen showed that it was currently 6 exactly. Quite early. Is this supposed to be masking her face for some reason? This convenient crack. She followed Sai, descending to the first floor and turning into a hallway next to the stairs. Soon, Ran could hear the sounds of flowing water not too far away. Ran has updated her notes. How do we know what's been updated? Okay, it's just a picture so far.
Oh, Indu.
Indo, maybe?
You're on duty today, right?
The person Sai had addressed as Indu turned and, with her hands crossed before her, and made a light bow to Sai. Good morning, Yorona-san.
Yeah, perfect timing. I'm handing it over to you. Ibuki, come over here.
Okay, boss. Oops, didn't mean to do that. That's good to know. I can just scroll up to do this, though. Ran quickly followed Sai and stepped to her side, preparing to meet Induru. But the moment she saw Indui, she paused. And on the other end, the one who'd been called Induru reacted much more noticeably. She stared back and forth between Sai and Ran, apparently struck speechless, only capable of making sounds of surprise. What's with you? Why is there a stranger? Yorona-san, who is she?
Calm down, Indui. Deep breath.
Induru nodded forcefully, and then started taking deep breaths as Sai had suggested. Induru apparently took the idea of deep breaths extremely seriously, practically flinging her head all the way back behind her back. Okay, with every breath. I see, but really arching her back. Induru, huh? Like the character for Puppy. It does suit her. She's pretty adorable. Why is she wearing a hakama though? And hakamas aren't usually supposed to have flowery decorations like that, are they? Looking closely, the overall design looks a bit similar to Yorono's sailor-style uniform.
Okay, I'm calm now. Calm. Sayurono smiled and gave the hair bun on the back of Induru's head a light tousling up. What does that mean? Is that just tying it back up? Great. Oh, yeah, great. Then I'm leaving the rest to you. Why don't you show Ibuki to the classroom, eh? Oh, yeah, and by the way, last night after I came back from swimming, I noticed that the showers weren't getting any water. Make sure you let Asakura know about that when you get to class, so that she can come fix it in the afternoon. So last night when Yurono's hair was wet, that was because she'd just gotten back from showering at the swimming pool. Though, wouldn't that hairstyle cause trouble for her when she's swimming? How curious. Okay, Yurono-san. I'll remember to pass it on. Sai nodded before turning to Ran and speaking. Good. So Ibuki, just stick with Indoro and you'll be fine. Don't bully her or I'll beat you up. Where did you get that idea of me from? Sai laughed and then headed to the washstand to start brushing her teeth. Good morning. You're Ibuki-san, correct? That's right. My name is Ran Ibuki. Indoro is speaking Chinese too. But if I ask her about it, I'm sure she'll have the same reaction that Yurono did last night. Oh, that's another thing that... when she woke up in the school and looked at like the literature and spoke to... whatever her name is. Yurono? They were speaking Chinese but thought they were speaking Japanese or something like that. Like, I think that Ran's native tongue is Japanese. And it's odd to her that everyone is speaking Chinese. Something like that, anyway. And now there's the question of why Induru's wearing a hakama, too. Maybe she's some kind of exception to the school rules. I'm Tama Induru. It's nice to meet you, Ibuki-san. Tama Induru. After Yurono told Induru to calm down, it was like a switch had been flipped. Her attitude has done a 180. Just like when Yurono first met me last night. Here's some spare toothbrushes and a cup. You can use these, Ibuki-san. As Tama spoke, she raised herself onto her tiptoes, and opened the cabinet behind the washroom mirror. After a moment's hesitation, she took out a fresh toothbrush, still sealed in its packaging, and presented it to Ran with both hands. Then she turned around again and dug up a cup, which she washed several times under the faucet. Then, with her right hand holding the handle, and her left hand supporting the base of the cup, she delivered the cup to Ran. So formal. By now, Sai had finished clearing up. She gave Ran a pat on the shoulder and waved farewell to Tama before she departed for the dormitory's depths. The direction she was heading in was the opposite of that of the main entrance. Ran rinsed her mouth as she watched Sai depart. Then she spat out the foam, cleaned off the cup, and put it back on the washstand. But Tama didn't seem satisfied. She took Ibuki's cup and gave it a second washing, before replacing it back in the mirror. Well, now I just feel a bit embarrassed. Now, if you'll allow me to escort you to a classroom, Ibuki-sama. Oh, I mean Ibuki-san. What did she just call me? With a light smile on her face, Tama bowed slightly before placing her hands in front of herself and quickly stepping in front of Ran. Ran followed her to the entrance. Tama bent down and opened the bottommost shelf on the shoe cabinet. She took out a pair of short boots and sat down to methodically lace them on. Weird wording. Ran's shoes had long since molded themselves to her feet, so it didn't take more than a few seconds for her to slip them on. She waited next to the door for Tama to finish. Tama meticulously tied her shoelaces in exactly the proper configuration and made a few slight turns after she stood up, as if to confirm that she'd put the shoes on properly. After that was done, she tapped the ground with her shoe tips. and made a slight bow towards the interior of the dormitory before she finally spoke to Ran. Thank you for your patience, Ibuki-san. Let us depart. Let's see what's just been updated. Okay. Uniform styled after a lantern Hakama. Impeccably polite to everyone with very controlled movements. Tries to conceal her inferiority complex and tries to take the blame for everything around herself in order to avoid becoming an annoyance. Okay. Nice bit of blood there. Ran nodded in agreement, and the two left the dormitory together, heading towards the schoolhouse that Ran had just escaped the previous night. During the day, the courtyard looked quite plain and unassuming, much different from how ominous it had seemed last night. Ran walked quite slowly, following behind Tama, observing the distant mountain ranges, the coarse soil under her feet and the old wooden buildings around her. Suddenly a thread of nostalgia rose in her, and she found herself thinking of the time she and Anne visited Anne's grandmother in the countryside. Anne Sakura's grandmother had a strange disposition, and kept calling Ran a little raccoon for some reason. She was exceedingly gentle and kind with her granddaughter, though. She would often wheel a little handcart by to bring them chilled watermelon, while Ran and Anne were fishing next to the river, though she always wound up eating Ran's portion herself somehow. I didn't really like being called a little raccoon, but Miss Sakura said that raccoons were adorable, so I had no choice but to let her grandmother keep calling me that. Wait, what am I even doing? When Ran had followed Tama all the way to the vicinity of the schoolhouse, she halted and called out to Tama. Hold on, Induo. I must let myself get caught up in the atmosphere here. I'm not here to attend school. Induo, I only stumbled into this school because I got lost. But I'd like to get out of here before one of your teachers catches me here. Could you tell me which way it is to the station from the gates? After hearing Ran out, Tama shook her head and opened her mouth to speak. I'm sorry, Ibuki-san. There are only us 7 students here and no teachers. Interesting. Tama smiled as if she'd just thought of something pleasant. Well, 8 now, including you, Ibuki-san. This is some weird limbo. Ran furrowed her brows, not understanding what Tama meant. Well, she decided not to scrutinize Tama's words, so she simply clawed a bit at her hair and gave up thinking about it. She'd already made up her mind last night in the school building that she didn't need to explain the mysteries of this school. As long as she could get out of here, it'd be enough. Okay, so there's no teachers in this school then. So could you tell me where I should go if I want to leave? Ibuki-san, I'd love to help you, but it's impossible to leave right now. Interesting. Ran narrowed her eyes. She figured it wouldn't be that easy. Still, if Ran could learn what the nature of the obstruction was, she'd be able to come up with a plan for it. Tama raised a hand and pointed towards the northwest. If you leave the school and then turn left, there's a tunnel passage that'll bring you to the nearby village. But there was an incident at the tunnel that caused a cave-in, so we can't leave through it, and there are no other ways out the area. Bit convenient. Ran's brows lifted at Tama's words. She instantly felt as though she was merely a step away from escaping the school. So that's how it is, huh? That's not so bad. I was worried it was some kind of a cult or supernatural situation. The fact that the exit exists is all good news. It's just that it's blocked is all. An accident? So when exactly did the tunnel get blocked? I don't know. We discovered the blockage a year ago. Oh no. Are you serious? A whole year? Ran stared with wide eyes, Tama's words echoing in her head. Tama nodded. She apparently saw nothing wrong with her statement, and instead looked curiously at Ran. Is something wrong, Ibuki-san? Of course there's something wrong with that. You said just now that the tunnel is the only way to get out to the outside world from here. So none of you have gone home or talked to your families in a whole year. And if the road is blocked, then nobody can get in there, right? So what have you been eating? Are you telling me you had a year's worth of supplies stored in your school? Really, from the moment that this school showed up here, in a place that's so inconvenient to visit and so isolated from the other residential areas, the strangeness should have been self-evident. Self-evident. I don't know. There's always been enough to eat at the school. Ran couldn't help but let out a heavy sigh. Look, even disregarding the food thing, you're telling me the situation is that you all have basically been locked in here for a whole year. You don't think there's anything weird about that? Tama had broken eye contact with Ran, and was looking straight down at the ground, while nervously fidgeting with her fingers. I don't know. I don't. Seeing Tama's reaction for a moment, Ran thought she was looking into a mirror. She quickly lowered her voice in contrition. Sorry, I just got a bit worked up, but you really aren't worried about being trapped here? I mean, calling it being trapped. We're supposed to stay at the school anyway until we graduate. I'm sure the tunnel will be fixed by then, so as long as we can leave by then, we'll be fine. Graduation? Huh. But... I'm sorry, Ibuki-san. Tama spoke timidly, interrupting Ran's thoughts. Can we hurry to the classroom? I'm afraid I won't have enough time to clean up. Tama's gaze slid all over the place nervously and unnaturally, trying to look anywhere other than into Ran's eyes. Ran could practically hear the grinding sounds. It was like she and Tama were gears spinning in opposite directions, so that their teeth now clashed against each other. Is this really the time for cleaning? Ran decided to capitulate and go along with Tama for now. Sorry. Yeah, let's go then. A year? No matter how you think about it, being trapped in a school for a whole year can't be called normal. Let's go ahead and meet the other students for now and see how they feel. With any luck, I'll find someone who wants to get out of here like I do. After they entered the school building, Ran had wanted to ask Tama whether she had any thoughts about the broken down staircase ahead of them. But the overly natural way that Tama had been behaving up to now made Ran think that, even if she asked, Tama would only give some entirely inconsequential and irrelevant response. What was interesting though was that after Tama took off her short boots at the shoe racks and placed them into her cubbyhole, she actually took out a pair of black wooden clogs for use as indoor shoes. And it looked like there wouldn't be any irritating clacks of wood clogs against wooden flooring any time in Tama's future. She walked in them with easy poise and utter silence, like she was taking a stroll on an early morning street, free of other pedestrians. Ran guessed that maybe Tama possessed some special walking technique or something. Like how in the movies the maids at traditional hotels could run down the wooden halls together all in a row without making any noise that might irritate a guest. Is that a thing? Following Tama like this in the hallway, the difference between what she saw now and what she'd see during the night made Ran feel that this place might not be so bad after all. In the past, she'd always arrived very early to school as well, and the school building from back then was just like the one here, empty and devoid of everything except her and the last night's air. And later on, a certain Ann Sakura would join Ran at her side on mornings like that. Miss Sakura, just where are you? As Ran's brain spun a memory up for her, Tama, who was still ahead, suddenly stopped to pull out a red and black flip phone from an inner pocket on the upper half of her outfit. She opened the phone and tapped it a few times. Then her eyes began to shine as she raised a hand to cover her giggles. Tama seemed like she was trying to type something into her phone and held it with both hands, tapping clumsily on the number pad with their thumbs. What is it? Something good happen? Oh, it's nothing, just my roommate always sends me a text message every morning after she gets up. With fascinating content, every time too. Tama smiled in self-evident bliss. Asakura-san is my roommate. I believe she's been mentioned before. Wait. Ran raised a hand, making a timeout gesture with it. You said you got a text. Yes, that's what they're called, right? It's that thing where I can see the words that Asakura-san sends to me. Ran immediately pulled her own phone out of her pocket. She swiped open the screen only to find that the upper left corner continued to read, "No signal, clear as day." No signal. Induru, can I see your phone? Please, go right ahead. Tama presented her flip phone to Ran with both hands. The screen on Tama's phone read the exact same though. No signal. It left her thoroughly vexed. Ran tapped her own phone number into the antique flip phone. But she only got a mechanical sounding female voice, which informed her that she was unable to connect. Even more strangely, her phone, which definitely had a Japanese SIM card plugged into it, was emitting system error noises in Chinese. Right, so yeah, her original language is definitely Japanese, right? Alright, sure, okay, so the student's phone must have been modified in some way? Sorry for the hold up, here's your phone back. Ran handed the phone back to Tama, who carefully returned it to its interior pocket. Ran couldn't help but feel the phone and the Hakama Tama wore made for a bizarre combination, even though the flip phone itself was quite outdated as well. I'm sorry, I don't understand much when it comes to how phones work. You don't need to apologize about that. How come you're always trying to apologize, Induru? We can talk about the phone thing later. Let's get going for now. Okay. I often make trouble for others because I don't know how to use my phone. So Ibuki-san's reaction made me worried. I'd done something wrong again. The way she thinks is as adorable as the way she looks. I wish I could touch her hair buns. It's fine. It's my problem, not yours. Tama nodded. The two of them continued advancing down the hallway and quickly reached the classroom. Tama jogged all the way to the storage cabinet at the back of the classroom and opened it. She got out a broom and dustpan and began to tidy up, starting from the rearmost row of desks. Let me help as well. Is there anything I can do? Sure, Ibuki-san. Thank you. Could you wipe off the window and blackboard with a rag, please? A dry rag will be fine. Okay. Ran approached the storage cabinet, taking the opportunity to investigate if there was anything noteworthy in the cabinet. But she didn't find anything worth mentioning. Ran could only take up a white rag and start wiping off the blackboard at a measured pace. After she finished cleaning off the blackboard, Ran raised her hand. No, she didn't. She raised her head. Watching Tama's petite form scramble all over the room, cleaning things up. She suddenly felt like there was something strange about the classroom. By the way, Induru, why does the classroom have so many desks if you've only got 7 students here? Oh, that. Tama took a long breath, apparently very pleased with the fruits of her labour. It was like this when we showed up here. We thought about reorganising, but the desks are pretty heavy and moving them all would be a lot of effort. So we decided to just keep the place as it is. And we can use the spare desks as extras if we ever need them. Ran feigned apathy and nodded, thinking to herself. This explanation just barely makes sense. It's similar to the question of why the students are packed up to a room despite how large the dormitory building is. It's not that weird on its own, but there's got to be more reasonable ways to handle these things, right? But Ran looked at Tama, who was reorganizing the storage cabinet with her back to Ran, and opened her mouth to speak. Okay. Tell Indira that her outfit suits her well, or ask about the difference between Indira and Yorono's school uniforms. So, use temporary points. Charisma. Okay. I do it again. Okay, so I'm 5 now, so I can use this charisma option. I've recorded a new recall point. What's that? When Ran first escaped from the basement, first exited the old schoolhouse. Branch recall? Oh, okay. Ran is quite confused at this. Okay, that's probably going to be what we're talking about now. Indira, that Hakama looks wonderful on you. It goes really well with your hairstyle. Really? Thank you, Ibuki-san. Tama set down her broom. She turned and raised her arms and shook her wide sleeves towards Ran a few times. I was a little afraid to wear them at first, since it used to be the only thing the young mistresses were permitted to wear fine clothes like this. Since it used to be that only the young mistresses, I see. When I visited the instructor back then, I always had to wait by the window for the young mistresses' classes to end. I always wanted to wear clothes the way they did, and attended school like them. Not to mention the lengths that the young mistresses and I were forced to go to. After that earthquake, it was terrible. In a departure from her usual restrained demeanour, Tama had begun to speak in a higher-pitched voice. She was clearly quite excited. That's why I'm so happy nowadays. My classmates are all so kind to me, and I even get to wear such fine clothes as these. Young mistress? And what did she mean exactly by not being allowed to wear fine clothes? Just what is Indira talking about? Indira, where did you live before you came to school here? Over in Yokohama. What? Yokohama? Wait, what did you say about an earthquake? And your clothes? Could it be? How could that be possible? Okay. New face. Before we do that... has experienced the Great Kanto earthquake. Okay. Whoa, a new face! Someone suddenly shouted from the classroom door. Ran turned her head and saw a female student with her hands in her pockets quickly stepping towards the blackboard. The female student grinned. She seemed quite interested in Ran. So what's your name? Are you a transfer student? How'd you get here? Ran immediately noticed an embroidered crest on the uniform's breast. It had clearly been sewn on after the fact, rather than being crest of the school itself. Before she could answer, though, another student entered the classroom. What is it? Hey, did something... As soon as the latest arrival saw Ran, the smile on her face fell away immediately. Who are you? Why would there be anyone here other than ourselves? The female student who'd been addressed as Aya was circling Ran and scrutinized her from head to toe. These two have different uniforms as well, though theirs are relatively more modern. With quite the unified design language, no less. I'm Ranabuki. I found my way here after I got lost. Good morning, Tamacha. Oops, I didn't mean to skip that. What did it say? So lost. Is this going to be what it says here? I don't know what this means. Eavesdropping Ayotama. Tama-chan, good morning. Oh, is that what that is here? Okay. The second of the female students furrowed her brow a bit, staring at Ran. Okay, so she's just saying... Okay. I understand. The voices of people speaking around you will appear in the form of speech bubbles in the upper right corner. The newest speech bubble will be indented further than the others until the next bubble arrives, at which point it will return to its regular position on the right. If you missed a conversation, you can check the logs for lines marked with a star. Lines heard through eavesdropping in this way will be recorded in the order in which they were heard. But we're in the mountains, and the tunnel's road has been closed off. Are you on duty today? How did you get so lost that you wound up somewhere like this? The suspicious female student who hadn't stopped asking incisive questions seemed rather displeased. Ran, on the other hand, felt her mood brighten just a little. No wonder Makato's not here yet. Makato from Danganronpa. She never gets up this early, does she? This student in the tuxedo uniform is the first person in this school to actually ask why I appeared here at all. I'm more than happy enough with Asuka-san's usual willingness to accompany me to class, okay? Still, if I just tell her that I don't know what's going on either, it'll just make her more suspicious of me. It might even impede my ability to converse with the other students. My best hope for now is to just blunder through and to talk to her again later once I've understood her a little better. I don't know why, but I have a feeling she's going to be very helpful to me in the future. I don't remember either. I just know that I came to this area to look for someone, and then before I'd realised You haven't actually answered my question, have you? Are you hiding something? Okay, Miho. You can stop bothering the new girl now. The student named Aya put both her hands on Ran's shoulders, looking quite pleased. It's rare for us to get a new student. Try your best to get along with her. You go by Ran-chan, right? I'm Ayo. Ayo Toyama. Ayo Toyama. There she is. Very quickly drawing that in my sketchbook. Even though I know she's calling me something in Japanese, it still sounds so awkward in Chinese. And the rude but cute one over there is Miho Take. Take. Is that right? Takai? Hiya. I suggest you keep your distance from her. Oh, I see. It's the other one, Aya. Miho Take. Or Takai? After dropping that parting shot, Miho retreated back to her own desk as though she'd lost all interest in participating in a conversation relating to Ran. Long sentence. Don't worry, Ran-chan. Miho always talks like that, but I know the truth. She's very happy that we've got a new classmate in our school as well. Not in the slightest. You answered that way too fast. What even is up with these two? Are they doing a bit? Though Toyama's got a choker on her neck, seems like she's got a rather particular taste. Ask Aya about the embroidered crest. Investigation. Ask Aya about the blocked tunnel. Okay, well, we'll do this. Investigation check. Toyama, did you embroider the crest on your uniform yourself? You're asking about the crest, Ran-chan. Or you've been staring at my choker the entire time. That's what you're really curious about, isn't it? Aya pointed to the star-shaped bangle dangling from the choker on her neck. Because you were insincere, I'm not going to tell you this time. Ask again later. Even after I pass my check. Well, that's not fair. I mean, how the hell are you supposed to start a conversation off by asking about a choker? Oh well. It's not important, I guess. Let's just ask what she thinks about the tunnel instead. Okay. Look, Toyama. I can't afford to stay here too long. If there's any way out of here, other than the collapsed tunnel, please let me know about it. Ways out, huh? Even though I'd also like for you to leave as quickly as possible, there really are no other ways out. That said, are you implying you need to flee for some reason? You've completed whatever nefarious mission it was that you infiltrated the school for, so now you're getting ready to flee. You're being overdramatic. I really am just an ordinary high schooler who got lost, alright? Miho turned away once again and began pulling textbooks out from the desk. Ayo, on the other hand, deposited her head onto Ran's shoulder, facing Miho, and whispered, Isn't she just like a shy kitten? She's adorable, right? So try not to let her rile you up. And do your best to get along together, An-chan. I'll try. Even though I'm more of a dog person, really. As far as the school's concerned, I think Yorono's the only cat it needs. Though I guess she's more of a feral cat, whereas Takai's closer to house cat. Ayo started giggling at Ran's words. She gave Ran a few pats on the shoulder and then bounced back to Miho's side, where the two of them started chatting about other things. Ran shrugged, folded up the rag and headed towards the storage cabinet in the back of the classroom. Thank you for helping, Ibuki-san. No need to thank me, this place is immaculately clean. Honestly, I barely even had anything to do. Tama-chan, finished with your daily duties? Asakura-san! After hearing Asakura's voice, Tama ran over to the back door immediately. Ran returned the rag to the storage cabinet and looked towards Tama and Asakura. Oh, okay, is that the one at the very beginning? No, it's not. Yeah, hang on. Never seen... Okay, hang on. This is the person she's looking for. Tama Induo. Ayotayama. Well, where is the woman that we were speaking to before? Okay. Ran returned the rag to the storage cabinet and looked towards Tama and Asakura. Ah, so in this extended pet metaphor, if Ndui is the puppy, then I suppose she's the owner. I imagine if Ndui had a tail, she'd be wagging it right now. Tama and Asakura didn't chat for long before Tama lifted a hand and gestured at Ran. Asakura's eyes widened upon seeing Ran. She bent down and whispered a few more things to Tama. Tama nodded in response and Asakura laughed before approaching Ran. So why is it question marks if we've seen her before? I wasn't expecting to see any strangers at the school. Asakura held out her hand for Ran to shake. I'm Makoto Asakura. This is a different person. Your name is Ran Abuki, correct? Makoto Asakura. And there she is. That's right. I'm Ran Abuki, the Lost Wanderer. The math homework yesterday was so hard. Help me him. Okay. So she's that Asakura who's responsible for maintenance. She looks like the no-nonsense type. Absolutely not. You're gonna have, you're only having trouble because you're lazy and you don't study. Oh. Seems like you're a pretty interesting person. Though you might feel a little lost at first, having just arrived, you'll find that everybody here is quite nice. You definitely won't find yourself bored. Everyone has indeed been quite friendly. Such as Takai, for instance. Okay. Requires 7 charisma. What's my charisma right now? That's me. 3. Okay, well, I'm not getting that. Ask about the tunnel? Asakura, I still have something very important to do, and I can't afford to stay here. Do you know where the nearest station is? Makoto Asakura folded her arms in front of her chest and thought for a moment before speaking. If you head west on the path that leads out to the school gate, you'll reach a tunnel eventually. If you go through that, you can find a station pretty quickly. But certainly, events have caused the tunnel to become blocked, so you're probably out of luck there. What are they saying? They're just saying nonsense on the right, aren't they? I don't know when they'll send people to handle the situation either. Even someone like me, who's in charge of maintenance of the school, can't do anything about the tunnel. Aya Toyama's been updated. Asakura started giggling to herself for some reason. Ran didn't see what was so funny though. What's been updated in Aya Toyama's? Enjoys playing the guitar in her spare time. Okay. Asakura started giggling to herself. We read that. Though, if you're planning to check it out for yourself, you should pick a later date. On the way there, I noticed the skies have already begun darkening. I imagine it's going to rain pretty soon. Ran nodded in response. All the students seem to share the same attitude when it comes to the collapsed tunnel. Nobody seems to be concerned at all, even though it's such a major hazard. You said you had something important to do, though. What did you mean by that? Ran blinked. She hadn't expected that Makoto Asakura would want to revisit what Ran had mentioned a few minutes ago, after answering Ran's questions. My girlfriend's missing. I'm looking for her. Girlfriend? Makoto raised an eyebrow with deliberation. Very well then, if you run into problems at school, don't hesitate to give me a call. Makoto waved goodbye to Ran and then took a seat with Tama. Oops! How did that happen? Okay. Asakura and Induru look almost like mother and child next to each other. Ran, seeing everyone else return to their seats, headed for an empty desk near the classroom door as well. She sat down at the desk and took her phone out. The screen indicated that it was currently 6:52. She'd originally just wanted to burn spare time before the rest of the students arrived at the classroom to start their morning meeting. But once she saw her lover's photo, she gave a deep sigh and slumped onto the desk. The noises of the other students' conversations around her faded into white noise as Ran remembered the time she'd spent alone with her lover in their classroom. Don't think about these things. Just focus on what's in front of you. Okay. Well then, I guess we're going to see who this guy is next time on Borderline Games. Thanks for watching. So far, it's quite pleasant. It's a little boring, but it's still quite pleasant. So far, it's obviously really weird with no idea what's going on or why it's happening. But it's also got like this kind of slice of life vibe, which is it's kind of pleasant, I'm not going to lie, but it's still maybe a little too boring. I've given it a 6 out of 10 so far. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Borderline Games. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.